What's up, college baseball fans? Welcome to the second episode of the 2025 11.7 podcast journey. Joined by Dimitri in his Tulane Homefield Apparel hat and Jack DeLongshaw rocking the College of Charleston Cougs hat. I'm decked out in my work gear today, Synergy Sports shout out. But today's episode, a little bit of everything. We're going to talk about teams that have just crazy hard non-conference schedules. We'll pull those up. So if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll be able to see. But for the podcast listeners, we'll do a good job explaining weekend series and midweeks that these teams have. We're also going to talk about, there's been some futures dropped for gambling purposes. And not that we're gambling on it because none of us are in a legal state, but they're cool to look at. Like, I think Bet Rivers came out with conference winners projections, and those are fun to look at to see what the people in Vegas think are going to win each conference. Before all of that, we want to announce a second-year partnership with Homefield Apparel. So they have been nothing but the best to us. They've been great to Jack and his endeavors as well. And they gave us a call today and said, hey, we're back on board. We want to be the premier sponsor of 11.7. We want to grow with you guys. And the best news, the very best news is if you liked what they put out last year with the retro jersey pullovers and the hats like Dimitri's wearing there and all of the cool custom retro throwback shirts, they have probably twice as much that they're launching this year. So there's a good chance your favorite team will have Homefield Apparel baseball merch in their store probably in March or April. So that's exciting. I think our promo code still works. 15% off CWS24 at Homefield. They just the absolute coolest stuff in the game of college sports. So shout out to them.
Should I leak it? It's on my screen right now. I can leak Homefield right now.
No, don't do that. There is one team.
I would never do that.
There is one mid-major team that is getting probably the coolest item in the history of college baseball, customized for them by Homefield. And I know Jack's seen it. Dimitri's seen it. It's going to take, like, I'm not kidding. Like, it's probably the coolest baseball memorabilia I've ever seen. And it's on-field stuff.
It's, to me, not, and I know I'm a pretty over-the-top individual, it is without question groundbreaking. Like, it is very much so revolutionary when you talk about apparel in our sport. So often we see college football and college basketball, the ability to buy and purchase whatever the heck you want to support your team. Not only is Homefield going over the top, and not just the Power Four ranks, and not just in the sports you care about, they're dominating hockey sweaters right now. They are dominating the NASCAR scene. To say that they're having a moment is incorrect. Like, they are the movement. And what they're kind of planning to do for college baseball, not only for the fan or for the parent or for the friend, but what they're doing for the individual on the field, like, you guys are going to freak out to see what they've got in store for 25. So I know that's kind of vague and it's over the top, but no, it is absolutely worth the hype we're delivering.
The copycat effect is going to be in full force. Once the college baseball world sees what they did with this one individual team, they will be taking phone calls for the rest of the season.
Oh, it's going to be so stupid. It's going to be so stupid.
Anyways,
did you guys mention they're the first team for Homefield that is actually getting on-field official gear? Like, Homefield is producing their on-field gear, not just some fan buy on the website. On-field official gear is one school and one school only, and they have something to do with a
no. Don't say too much, dude. Don't say too much, dude. Not our new drop.
That's why people love me, dude. I am the leaker. I let people know a little something.
Holy, dude.
Don't.
I didn't say anything.
Let's go to a different topic here.
Water, dude. They
Dimitri,
have tawny water.
I need you to be young Jamie off of the Joe Rogan podcast. I need you to pull up Xavier Musketeers non-conference schedule right now, please. So for the YouTube watchers, you'll be able to see this on the screen, but what Xavier did to their non-conference schedule, it should be half appreciated and just bow down worthy and half like, oh my God, like these poor guys. Like, not that Xavier can't handle it. They're going to have a talented team this year. They're in the mix for preseason, mid-major, top 25, but just the mental warfare that they're going to have to go through all of February and all of March is half exciting and half scary as hell. So, so they start off the season, preseason tournament, Oregon State, Indiana, UNLV, Oregon State again. 4 games, 4 days, neutral site, Tempe, Arizona. Then they go midweek at Louisville, 3 games at Liberty, who's going to be really good this year.
Yep.
Midweek at Indiana, 4 games at Stanford, then at the reigning national champions, Tennessee Volunteers, then 3 games at Vanderbilt, then midweek at LSU, then they drive down the road to New Orleans and play 3 games at Tulane. Then finally, they get a home game, a home series against probably the favorite to win the MAC, Ball State. Good program. Then at Kentucky for a midweek, 3 games against UConn, who should be probably preseason ranked in the country. Like, they were a super regional team last year. And then April 1st, they get the Wright State Raiders, who we know how good they are and how frisky they can be in midweeks.
The Raiders.
Their first truly winnable weekend. You can consider Ball State or Tulane winnable, but Butler's the first, like, we're not losing this fucking series.
Cannot lose that series.
Do you know what stands out to me? My favorite part about this schedule, right? Tennessee, Vandy, of course. You're like, geez, what a gauntlet. If we're going to do the state of Tennessee, let's just go do the best of the best. It feels like for the last decade, they've had a weekend series with LSU, and LSU after last year goes, you know what? How about just one? Are you guys okay with just one this year? Good, not with the week. 3's too many with the Musketeers. One is fine for us.
Speaking of schedules, what do you guys think about this one?
Who you have here?
I'm so giddy.
Oh, by the way, Ben. Would you say for Xavier a 6-12 record is a very successful run through that schedule?
Oh, easily. I mean, they will probably go 7-11 or 6-12 and be 14th in the RPI. Like, that's how good that
100%.
schedule is.
Look at this one.
Who is this? San Diego Toreros?
Yeah.
So they go 4 at TCU or against TCU at home. That's nice. 3 at Arizona, at San Diego State, 3 for Bakersfield, midweek against Irvine, at Oregon State for 3, at UC Santa Barbara midweek, Columbia for 4, and Columbia is going to be pretty solid this year. Definitely regional caliber team.
Yeah. And then you've got your kind of 2 off weekends or whatever. LMU is not to be slept on, though. And then you've got Irvine and at UCLA.
Yeah. But San Diego also does. They're kind of like Xavier. They do it every year. They challenge themselves early. Last year, I think they played 3 at Texas and 3 at Dallas Baptist.
Yep.
So, I mean.
Hey, what other team did you mention?
Lipscomb. I was looking at Lipscomb's schedule. They didn't mess around either.
Here we go.
Ben, you said that on Twitter like in November, I remember.
Yeah.
Remember when they put
well, here we go.
And theirs is more like non-conference throughout the whole season. So they have 3 against Kentucky, and then Evansville, West Virginia, Belmont, Villanova, Western Michigan, and then they play 3 at Florida State, Louisville midweek, 3 at Austin Peay, which is tough. Keep going. No, keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Like, they're midweeks throughout the year. At Vandy, at Tennessee. Keep going. Austin Peay for 3 more. Like, it's a tough schedule for him.
I don't know if that's groundbreaking. Tough schedule first 2 weekends for sure, though.
Mm-hmm. And those are all at home too. Like, they have Kentucky and Evansville and West Virginia all at home.
That's wild. That's so weird.
But Lipscomb's got a cool place. Like, their ballpark is really nice.
No, it gives me Field of Dreams vibe. Not really, but like they just have like the wooden planky fence looking thing. It's a cool little park, but it's not that cool.
I'll tell you what, I was aiming for they have a pond behind right field.
Yeah.
You should have saw my 2014 BP there. I mean, I was pull hooking every ball trying to hit into the pond.
Yeah.
Which is
Lipscomb's a
cool.
cool little like place. It's just like nestled in the outskirts of downtown Nashville. It's a cool place, but it's nothing like special.
I think
Cool
it's
little
really nice. I think you're wrong there.
I think High Point is what you consider nice.
But yeah, you said it was nice, but what you said it wasn't special. You weren't willing to go to the special category.
I mean, it's not special. It's nothing super nice or special. It's just a cool little place nestled in Nashville. High Point, you go to High Point, you're like, damn, this place is special. This place is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally had brick by brick on the whole campus. Everything is brick.
Hey, Coach Joey
Hammond,
big fan of Coach Joey Hammond the Thirst. So I special, but I'm all in. So is Lipscomb. I'm all.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Let me tell you this funny story. So High Point is playing at Mercer this year, right? So they're last year Mercer played at High Point. This year High Point's playing non-conference at Mercer. I might be falling for the trap, but I'm all the way back in on the Bears. And I'll tell you why. Because the Mercer coaches will not call me back. They will not talk Mercer baseball with me, which is completely the opposite of what they were doing last year and the year before, where they kind of struggled. They were telling me like, oh, this team's going to be good, like blah, blah, blah. This year, they're like, lips are sealed, which means that they're going to be freaking good. So watch out for the Bears winning the SoCon. I'm all the way back in.
Ben,
I'm thinking super regional here.
You spent 2 years in Macon, Georgia. I spent 4. You love that program more than I do.
I spent 6 years in Macon, Georgia.
No. As a letter-winning
my son was born in Macon, Georgia.
Dang right, Brooksy boy.
As a letter-winning player, you spent 2 years in Claude Smith Field. Do not feed me this shit about Mercer Bears being good until I see them.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you? You shut your mouth and you talk to me.
Who do you think you are?
Just bite your tongue.
Dadgum some bitch. Anyways, no, Mercer is pretty good. Me and Ben actually went through their roster last night. They look like they can be pretty good. It's the state of Georgia. Georgia Tech let some players slip through the cracks of the recruiting. So I do think Mercer can be good. And that's the first time I've talked nice about them in a long time.
There we go. Very nice. But yeah, last night, Dimitri and I, we were running through the mid-major top 25. It's gonna be tough this year. There's gonna be probably 30 to 40 teams in consideration, like legitimate consideration, where it's not like, oh, they're a fringe top 25 team. It's like we got to put them at 21 because 1 through 15 is like locked in solid.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I was actually having a conversation with people like kind of in the college baseball space, but more so like in all of college athletics. To me, and I think we've talked about it on this pod before, when you guys were looking at it last night, I'm curious y'all's opinion. Do you think that the idea that because Major League Baseball is predicated on a farm system ranking already, that maybe that train of thought is almost advantageous with the new landscape with the portal? Like, I understand that I have to recruit my own guys because I know that if my young freshman tears it up in a mid-major conference around the country, that I know that he's going to get a call to go and make the next stop at a Power 4 school. The baseball mind has already seen that. They're prepared for it. They know how to recruit their own. They know what the culture looks like at really good mid-major programs. Do you think that almost baseball in itself has benefited in a weird way for not the trickle-down effect of guys that didn't play at the Power 4 and are now at that school, but that the college baseball coach in the mid-major ranks is more adapt for this landscape than maybe other sports?
Ben, you can go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. And I'm going to steal this from a coach that I talked to on the phone probably this fall when I was still work. I mean, it was a work call, but he kind of explained it in a way that I've never thought of it. So there might be some listeners out there that aren't familiar with English Premier League soccer and like the soccer world over in England and Europe. But college baseball is almost like the European soccer world, where it's like if I'm at a school X and we play in the Southland Conference, a smaller conference, still good baseball, and I tear it up, like I'm going to be bought out by these upper tier teams that play in the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC. And even like the SunBelt is a possible landing spot for them. So it's not like, I wouldn't say a trickle down effect, but it is a very big fear for a lot of these, lower mid-major coaches is like, hey, if I have a guy that hits 15 homers and hits 340, like he's probably gone. So what they're focusing on, and I'm speaking generally here, these teams at the lower mid-major level, they have to have just a culture that is locked in place and fun to be around, i.e. the Austin Pease of the world. And give me some other examples of just like fun environments where players go for success and they don't leave. UNCW, another school, like Tanner Thatch is somebody that was probably thrown $1 million from and this is hypothetical, I don't know.
Oregon, East
He could
Carolina.
have entered the portal and gotten six, 7 digits, but he stayed at UNCW. Like, so these lower mid-major coaches are now focusing on building a culture and a program where these kids don't want to leave. Meanwhile, at the upper tier, the Power Four for the most part, and like just good baseball programs, they kind of get the pick of the litter. Like whoever they want after the season's over, like they can push somebody to go in the transfer portal, similar to like what happened to Tommy White after having an awesome year at NC State. Like he probably was pushed by peers and family members and everything, enter the portal and see what's out there. And then find the best spot for you. So anyways, like my whole point was like European soccer is very similar to like the, English Premier League and then League One and League Two. It's kind of the same structure, in relatively speaking to college baseball, where a team in the lower division can beat the upper division team, but then the upper division team's just going to buy out their best player and then they'll have no shot.
Yeah.
Hope that
I
makes
just
sense.
want to say one thing before I say anything. Don't disrespect NC State. You cannot say NC State is a feeder school to the upper tier. They are the upper tier.
I was not saying that at all. Not at all. Like,
No,
you will not find a bigger NC State fan than me and Jack. Like,
yeah, we were all on board the triangle last year. No, I think what he was trying to say was in that situation where a Tommy White leaves for an LSU, to me, and again, for listeners that are maybe still skeptical in the NIL world, like I have been living it every day, and I probably know just as much as I did 2 months ago as I do now. Like it's ever changing. I think what Ben was trying to say was the Tommy White move to LSU, and I don't know if people have seen the primetime the Deion Sanders clip that's kind of viral on social media. So I'm kind of referring to that when I talk about this, but that was an NIL move. There's a difference between an NIL move and a collective move. And I think we are in this weird landscape where Tommy White became Tommy Tanks because of the needle in yourself. You guys coined this nickname. And then all of a sudden, this aura and this social media presence, guess what? That's NIL. Tommy White was able to benefit off his name, image, and likeness, and frankly, go to a school that's doing it better than anybody in the country. And I think that's pretty subjective, and overall consensus is clean that LSU in the NIL space is NIL versus a collective where if I go pitch really, really well, right, or I have a great weekend, and then all of a sudden I'm getting poached to go play at a great big school. Poach is not the right word. And then I get recruited to go play at the next school. That's collective money. They're not. No one's running around in my jersey to go and play at the next school, and I'm not making money because people are going, oh, look at this guy. Whereas Tommy White became a household name, not in just college baseball circles, but in baseball circles and in sports circles. That's NC State was not a feeder school. NC State is a bona fide blue blood in college baseball. Chance to go make an NCAA championship run every year. I think he was kind of more talking about the NIL versus the collective base, which, to be frank, is kind of exciting. Like, I think for a lot of fans, Ben, you mentioned a guy like Tanner Thatch. Guys are making real money. Like, the NIL has made its way into college baseball. These guys are rightfully being paid not as much as you might see in college football and basketball, but don't be mistaken. Like, it's leaking into the college baseball world at schools that are able to turn a profit, which when I did my thesis on this in 2019, there's 6 teams turning a profit in the college baseball. Now you're looking at northwards of 30 to 40 teams that are able to see a green number.
No way 40 teams are profiting.
I said 30 plus. Dude, I'm telling you, you would be surprised. Like, I understand that the resources that are pushed into this product, but what you have been able to turn from merchandising, from ticket sales, from broadcasting rights with conferences versus making a regional and super run. And March Madness and a stipend. I'm just saying that number is drastically different than it was.
How many teams are in the SEC? 14?
16.
Oh, yeah. Oklahoma and Texas, 16. Okay. You're telling me you think all 16 of those teams are profiting in college baseball, literally making $1 or more?
13.
I would say
12 of them.
Missouri is not making a profit. Kentucky, I would say, is not making a profit. I wouldn't be surprised if some schools like Alabama and Auburn are not making a profit.
By the way, you named 2. You named 2, by the way. So we're at 14 and 16, if you were wondering.
Yo, Alabama and Auburn probably not making a profit either. The only school that can
sure they are.
Making a profit.
Yeah, they are.
Auburn
yeah,
just did $82 million in renovations to that stadium.
That had nothing to, I mean, Binghamton got $100 million renovation.
I want to clear this right now. Like,
nothing.
For some reason, Auburn gets this like weird look amongst the public in college baseball. You realize they've been to Omaha like 3 times since 2019.
Right.
Like, they had one bad year, and that's it. And that was last year.
I'm not saying Auburn.
It was a couple of years ago. It wasn't like a decade. Oh man, remember when?
No, but what I'm saying is to make a profit in college baseball is a lot.
Which
it takes a lot.
Which, to your point, Dimitri, I would agree with you when I say just because a team is good does not mean that they turn a profit. Like in 2019, we're talking the glory years. We just came off of a Vanderbilt baseball that they were not turning a profit.
No.
But what I'm saying is because
I think they were.
No, because they're not though. They're not though.
You can't look at Vanderbilt's like financial stuff. They're a private school, so they could lie and say, "Oh, we lost money."
Good point.
Okay, hold on. Arkansas, they're bringing what? How many people do Arkansas get a game on average in this every home game? 8 to 10,000.
More, 12 probably.
Really?
All right.
I can't speak to me. And again, I threw out the 30 number from a general statement because not from a ticket standpoint, in my opinion. Like I don't know how many people are making crazy money at the gate. To me, it's what we're seeing from a television standpoint. It's what we're seeing from a social media standpoint. It's what we're seeing from like the revenue outside of just who's buying a ticket, who's spending concessions, who's buying jerseys. I mean, dude, you ask Wake Forest before this massive run, their season tickets, Ben, remember what they told us? I believe it was Nick Kurtz's mom was like, oh, they did like 280 season tickets. They go on this magical run. They did like 2,000. And we walk into the couch and Ben and I are seeing little kids wearing jerseys all over the place. I go, I didn't know you could do that. Like, that's sick. And Wake Forest 5 years ago, you're looking at that program going, they got baseball up there. It's pretty cool.
But you got to remember, like,
I know what you're saying. You know what
the
you're saying.
baseball program itself, 99% of the time, is not turning a profit because, I mean, how else are you going to make money? Ticket sale, concession, and merch.
Well, I'm saying it changed. I'm saying
media,
it's changed.
like,
right.
Where are they going to make money in media? Like, what are they going to do? They can't really do many partnerships.
Conferences get TV right deals right now.
Mm-hmm.
Conference are now getting TV rights deals. Now you're looking at
that's a football deal. That's a basketball deal.
It's new, dude. I'm just telling you.
It's because every sport. Women's basketball too. Like it's all the sports.
You can't just because for football covers everything. But now you're looking at these TV rights deals, and you're seeing a return on your investment come June, and especially in college baseball. So I'm to your point.
I still think the number is less than 10.
Goes into it. No. Because
I
if it
think
was
the number
less
is
than
4,
10?
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
In the
Not
country?
not one school on the West Coast making a profit. Oregon State's not making a profit, probably. UCLA is not making a profit. East Coast, I mean, your Arkansas, your South Carolina.
I would say Oregon State. Shout out to the Boy Lespes. I bet they're close.
They're
I would
quite close, but they're not turning a profit. Dude, you got to think of your operating cost.
I'm sure this is
Dude,
doable,
yeah.
guys.
I'm telling you, I did the thesis also because in 19 there were 6 teams, and we always joked about at the mid-major school that I went to that the University of South Carolina spent more money in baseballs, like legitimate pelotas, than we did on our entire season, and we were like, that's crazy. And they were one of the few teams that were turning a profit at that time because you're coming off the Ray Tanner.
Can I share this? I'm going to share this screen. All right.
You got it. Do we have an answer to our question?
Binghamton is number 1 because of that one silent donor or secret donor, anonymous donor, whatever you want to call it.
Wait, does that say 44 million?
44 million.
Who the hell donated? Warren Buffett?
Well, that's how they built that whole entire that new facility and everything.
Greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. I love it. I'm about to be the newest big. Yeah, I told you guys all last year I'm the easiest proud man in college.
So this is not just straight. This is not just straight revenue. This is including donations, which I guess you can consider part of revenue, but
no doubt
You absolutely would.
part of your cash flow. But part of my argument was the fact that the game is growing, so people want to get involved. You don't think Alabama is like, now we're good. We don't need your football money. We're good. We're just going to raise it hard-earned way through TV deals and
Here, Dimitri, I'll put it to you this way. There is a Power 4 school that I know their financials for the year. They've told me, and it's $800,000. Like what it costs to put on a college baseball season.
look at this.
And they travel, they like fly everywhere.
This is so interesting. It is fun. This is a cool conversation because, Dimitri, I don't think you're wrong in sitting where you do. Maybe I'm overvaluing what I think the sport has done the last 3 years. And you've seen teams pour gas on the fire and go, all right, cool. Like, I've seen Kentucky and Auburn and all these SEC schools renovate this stadium to make it, Lindsey Nelson and obviously Tennessee. And I think you've seen it. And by the way, we haven't even started talking about the conference that I think probably does. Like, you're telling me that those schools in the SunBelt aren't killing? Like, their entire weekends are predicated around what's going on at the ballpark. I think I can name 6 teams in the SunBelt that are crushing.
Look at the revenue sharing for their athletes. To your point, Jack, $20.5 million a year they can take from their school revenue and give it to the athlete.
Well, not yet. That's still
that's the house settlement
this year.
Yeah.
Or does that start in July? The new calendar.
Yeah. So
this is a different conversation, though.
Yeah, you're looking at an estimated 2025, 2026. Like this is all that's open up Pandora's box.
So Dimitri, go back to the other thing you just had. Like let's just put $800,000 as the baseline for what it costs to do a Power 4 college baseball season.
Here you go. Here's your average operating expenses.
Yeah, so go back to that original list you had and then
I
find
will.
That makes more than that. Like there's probably 50 teams that turn a profit now.
All right, before we go back to that, look at this. SEC, 1.2 mil a year expenses. Big 12, 900, Pac-12. Pac-12 has a bigger operating budget than, or whatever, expense than the ACC, Big 10. The American is pretty impressive. Anyway, all right.
I love it. By the way, for fans listening at home, if you know any rich friends, all we're trying to say is it costs a lot of money to put on a show in college baseball. And if you've got a friend that, I don't know, that has given a couple dollars to the Binghamton baseball program, give us your number. We'd love to chat.
Yo, Ole Miss spent the most money. Ole Miss spent the most money in what year is this?
That makes sense.
Wait, hold on. Let me go back up. What year is this article? 2022. All right, okay, here we go. 2022. Before we go back to the other article, look at this. 2.8 mil. They outspent Arkansas by $1 million.
It could be a lot of different things though. Like we don't know what Like they could have been chartering flights. Like they could have been paying in-stadium employees.
They're coming off a national championship.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Mercer Bears. Lowest cost per win, $4,888. Number one in the country, baby.
Billy Beanball, baby.
That's
yeah.
Awesome.
Anyways, we got to change the topic. We got to remember this is a podcast and not, a lot of people listen on podcasts. Not everybody's on YouTube.
I think
we did a good job breaking it down, though.
People enjoy us talking about this.
Dude, look at those numbers. They're generating almost $10 million in revenue. They're making a huge profit. Yeah. Why else would these schools be investing money into new stadiums and NIL and everything there? Like they got money to spend, hiring fourth and fifth coaches and 2 strength coaches per baseball team. Like, the money's there.
I don't think it's fair to include these donors and stuff into it. I'm talking about just pure revenue generating from the program. Because
that's a part of it.
Because like, okay, yes, revenue coming in from your donors stuff, sure. But I'm talking about just purely generating money. Like an NFL team doesn't just get all these donors and say, oh yeah, we made.
Of course they do.
Hold on. You're missing my point. When for example, the Oakland Athletics say we operated on the XYZ revenue, XYZ this, XYZ that. I'm just talking about purely generating from ticket sales, jersey sales, TV rights deal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And their salaries and all that stuff. Not a lot of teams are operating at a true profit in the MLB. And if they are, they're not a very good team. If they're operating at a profit,
Wait, hold on. You're completely changing the subject, but I'm not.
No, but I'm just saying that's revenue.
Not every MLB team is not operating on a profit. Is that what you think? You don't think
the good ones are operating at a loss because of player salary?
No.
You think the LA Dodgers are just going to lose money this year?
No.
Okay.
Nobody. There is not one major league team that is losing money.
I want that on the record because
in terms of pure cash flow and budget chart, MLB teams operate at a loss, including player salaries, etc.
We're just gonna have to agree to disagree. These guys are zillionaires, all of them, and they're all
the value of the team is going up every year. Of course, they're making money unrealized, but the actual year-to-year operating cost and revenue most teams operate. If they're a good winning team, they're operating at a loss. I'm telling you.
No shot.
I'll do my research.
Well, hey, here's the deal, Dimitri. You are the money guy. I'm not to say that I'm the smartest guy in the world. I think I'm right. You think you're right. Let's let the listeners at home let us know. Tell us, am I the silly goose, or is Sharpie's real guy up there? I don't know. We'll find out.
In full operating cost, for example, the New York Mets are going to be operating at a loss this year, paying Juan Soto's salary, and obviously all the other salaries and everything else. Most teams operate at a loss if they don't have a TV deal like the Dodgers. The only reason why the Dodgers can do what they're doing right now with their deferred money in the future, this is off topic, but it's because they signed a massive TV rights deal for the next 20 years. And that TV rights deal alone pays for Ohtani's contract for the next 20 years. That's why they did it.
I think what you're trying to say is that East Carolina is about to do a TV deal of their own rights. They're going to do a whole Netflix series in Greenville, North Carolina, and they're going to become the new LA Dodgers of college baseball. I love it.
All right, Ben, pull it up.
I shared my screen, and I said, do MLB teams operate at a loss? And it says MLB teams do not all operate at a loss.
Keyword all. I didn't say they all.
They are extremely profitable ventures. For example, the Atlanta Braves had a $104 million profit in 2021.
While some teams may lose money, overall annual revenue has been record breaking. Right, but I didn't say every team is profitable. A lot of teams operate at a loss. But the valuation of the team is consistently going up. The more they win, the more public they are, the better signing they have. Of course, the value, but the true year-to-year budget is going down.
I just stopped the argument. If you think that the New York Mets playing in New York with one of the biggest stars in the game, if you think they're operating at a loss this year, I'm just going to agree to disagree. That's all.
Which is fine.
Yeah, healthy debate. That's it.
All right.
Hey, speaking of money, how about this? You ready for this transition? Speaking of money, hypothetically investing. Ben.
I'm already ahead of you.
Squat.
Dude, beautiful flow. Beautiful.
So this is just fun, right?
Does
Like
11.7
there's a
operate at a
couple
loss?
sports books. Hold on, let me talk. There's a couple sports books that have college baseball like futures lines on and available. This was the only one that I saw that had like conference futures, like who to win each conference. So like for example, the American Athletic Conference winner, East Carolina is a heavy favorite, minus 186, and then it goes all the way down Tulane, UTSA, FAU, Wichita State, Charlotte, Rice, UAB, South Florida, Memphis. And it just intrigues me because I like to think that somebody's doing the behind the scenes in Vegas, and maybe they have a leg up on some of us college baseball speakers or podcasters. But is there anything in the American Conference that stands out? Like for me, I don't hate FAU at plus 1,000. FAU always pretty good, and they've gotten a lot better from last year to this year. So that would
I
be the
think
team that I would
Carolina.
look out
I
for.
think East Carolina is way too high. You're not getting enough money on your return to bet East Carolina this year. Are they going to probably win the AAC? Probably, but they have a lot to figure out.
They do it every year. So like
Yeah.
we would be dumb to bet against that, but
Well,
right. But
good
if
news
they're
is
going to find value, they're good value here.
good news is I'm a dumb guy. For the brand play, only one of these teams has a line with apparel, and that's Homefield, and that's Tulane, and Dimitri's wearing the hat. So from a brand play, to me, this feels like a no-brainer. They just signed Jack Martin, who's going to be doing their content this season. Shout out the boy Jack Martin. Yeah, give me the wave.
he's good. Yeah, I like Jack too.
FAU Tulane.
So it's regular season championship. I was going to say like Tulane's won the tournament like probably 3 times the last 5 years or so. So, but regular season, I mean, dude, we say it every year. The American runs through Greenville, North Carolina, and ECU. This one's interesting down here as a long shot. South Florida getting Coach Hannes from Indiana State and what he did over there for like the last 10 years, always making them a competitor. Like, I mean, if anybody can turn around South Florida, like I believe in him. And 25-1 odds is freaking, that's a lot. That's high. So
I think
that was
South
the other one
Florida,
that stood out to me.
if not this year, I really do think South Florida is going to give East Carolina a run for their money in the next 3 years in the American Athletic.
I think that's a safe assumption. Yeah, because like the talent bed that he'll have down in South Florida to recruit from and the facilities that they have, I mean, he'll win a lot of games down there. That's
They
no
have
doubt.
great facility. They have a beautiful stadium down there. If you guys have never seen it, I love it.
I saw it when Cags hit a 512-foot home run there, and it went over their building in right field.
Yeah, they have like a indoor cages or whatever over there.
Yeah.
Super nice field.
So ACC, I mean, this is just a jumbled mess. Virginia's the favorite at plus 400, and rightfully so. Let me say this about Virginia. I think if you took the last 10 years of college baseball, they have the best resume in the last 10 years as any team in the country. They've been to Omaha probably 5 times, if I'm not, let's see. They have a national championship.
2018?
2015, they won the national championship against Vanderbilt. Or no, not Vanderbilt. I'm sorry.
Florida.
They lost to Vanderbilt in
They
14.
beat Florida.
Yeah. So they won it in 15, so 10 years ago. And they've been to Omaha 2021, 2022, and 2024. Is that right? And they might have been a couple more times. Like Virginia is just the silent killer that they always fly under the radar. They're hosting a regional. They play that 11 a.m. first regional game against Army or whoever. They run Rural Army. They win the regional. They go out. They host a super regional. They win that, and they're just in Omaha every year. So,
Ben, do you think when people say Tony Vitello, Dave Van Horn, all these coaches, nobody really ever talks about Brian O'Connor. Like, oh my God, it's Brian O'Connor.
I know.
Oh my God, it's Brian O'Connor.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, nobody says that.
It might be like they don't have as loud of a fan base on social media as C's of the worlds and the LSUs and the Arkansas and the Texas, but like they have loyal fans, beautiful stadium, awesome facilities, and win there.
Yeah.
And I'm like that. I guess that just and like their team this year is stupid. They should be number one in the country, in my opinion. They just returned so much. They're going to have an easier, I guess, relatively speaking, but I think the ACC is going to have more winnable games on their schedule than an SEC caliber team would. But anyways, my point is like Virginia at plus 400. I think that's pretty solid there. Like really
Jack.
these top 6 or 7, these top 7 teams, Virginia, Florida State, North Carolina, sorry, Clemson, Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, they're all going to be nasty this year.
I have 2 picks that I would pick.
I really like NC State just
Clemson
because of
and
what they're
Duke.
returning on the
Put the
mound.
money on Clemson and Duke. That's it.
What?
Clemson or Duke, and you'll win some money.
You think so? I mean, dude, I wouldn't discount North Carolina, Florida State, NC State, Wake Forest. Like,
I think Florida State underachieved this year.
any of these teams down here, any of these here kind of like Stanford at plus 1,500 is not bad. Stanford's returning a ton from last year, and like they didn't make it. I don't even know if they made the tournament last year. Did they make the tournament last year? I don't think they did.
No.
But anyways, we could have the best player in the country in Rentaro Sasaki. I mean, he could hit 40 this year.
But think about it this way, Ben. In the future, I think Stanford is going to win this conference a few times.
Really?
First year, getting used to learning how to play in the ACC on the road at all these ballparks, they're flying across the country every other weekend.
You're talking about some of the smartest people in the game of college baseball. They will. The flights aren't going to.
Come on. You know this game. It takes a minute to like get used to learning how to play in Miami, learning how to play at Carolina, learning how.
Not when you have a 35 ACT score. You make adjustments pretty quickly.
You only get 3 games on the road at these schools. The next year, I think they're going to be good. But this year, it's just a lot of flying to get used to, and it's just a lot of logistics they got to get used to. You're laughing, but I don't think Stanford finishes top 4 in the ACC this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an easy take because it's so loaded this year. The one thing I'll say, Ben, like I might disagree with you a little bit on, yes, there are more winnable games because I think obviously the SEC is probably far deeper than the ACC. In the SEC, I look at 4 teams that have a realistic chance to win it. In the ACC, I look at like 9. So I think I don't know really what my argument is in that, but it's more so the fact that to me, you look at the bottom of this list, a team that kind of stands out to me, Louisville. And I know that this Bet Rivers is all about winning the conference championship, like regular season. But in a tournament setting, Louisville's got some really fun prospects like Zion Rose, who just absolutely tore up the Cape Cod last year. Like he's so good. Like the only problem in his baseball life was trying to figure out what position he wanted to dominate. And I think they came out and said, Coach McDonald said he was going to play left instead of catching, even though they're like catchers you. That's like a weird team where there's a lot of really fun pieces. They're going to be a lot better. I think, one of the greatest coaches of all time is starting to figure out this new landscape. And in today's world, you can take a team like Coach Eskew at Stanford. Like he could take a team and you can flip it overnight. Like you couldn't do that 10 years ago. Now you can. But I do side, like I know Clemson's probably going to be the sexiest pick. Like I think probably that number is going to creep up to like probably 5 or 4 by the end of the year. But to your point, it feels like no one's really talking about North Carolina. Like Virginia's almost become the UVA Invitational at this point. Like Henry Godbout's going to be crazy for them up the middle. And obviously they return with Jacob Ferentz behind the plate, I believe, the Salisbury transfer kid, and then Henry Ford over at first. Like they've got this crazy core, and they should be talked about to be the favorite because they are. But like people forget, like North Carolina was there last year. Like you lose a lot of like the crazy studs and Honeycutt, but you bring back an All-American catcher and maybe the best pitcher not named Jamie Arnold. So North Carolina feels like an attractive piece there too.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with like it's probably not top to bottom as deep as the SEC, but the top tier talent on par with them. especially with the amount that each of those teams are returning from last year that had success. So the ACC will be fun. I wouldn't touch any of these bottom teams. Like Virginia Tech intrigues me a little bit. I think they're going to be able to hit really well. And if they have some guys up on the mound and get outs, like they could be frisky. We've seen them be frisky before. It really just comes down to depth because
I have a theory. I have an envisioning thing. The Savannah Bananas went and played one college baseball team this fall. Do you guys know who it was?
Clemson.
An MLB player went and played games with one college team this fall. Who was it?
The Tigers.
Clemson.
No, it was Jazz Chisholm.
Jazz Chisholm went and played games and advertised his brand, his sliding mid gloves and stuff with Clemson, full gear, whatever. Can you guys envision national champion Clemson Tigers, Eric Backus, Savannah Bananas? I could just see it. The only team that had the ball to say, you know what, we're going to play some banana ball this fall. We're not going to take it so serious. We're going to let our guys have some fun. Clemson did it. And I think it was revolutionary in terms of building brand, like we talked about with the team value and revenue sharing. Clemson is trying to build a brand. Backus is nailing it on the head in terms of building a brand outside of just the diamond, outside of the baseball field. And he's been doing it really well. He brought Jazz Chisholm in, show off, rock the gear, advertise his sliding gloves, batting gloves, whatever he was doing. Clemson, I'm telling you, they are doing a very good job. And Eric Backus, since day one, we knew was going to be a great fit down there. And I think Clemson is going to be a really successful team this year. Success finds a way.
I think that could go one of two ways, Dimitri. If Clemson has an unbelievable year and they go to Omaha and maybe win the College World Series, you'll see about 8 to 10 other teams do the exact same thing with the Bananas and bringing pro players in to scrimmage with them in the fall. But if Clemson has a clunker of a year, I guarantee you, no Savannah Bananas, no Jazz Chisholm, they're going to be focused in the offseason. So we'll see how it plays out. But
I'll say that I'll put the final cherry on top. I think it's going to work for whatever that's worth. They have leaned in brilliantly. Watching what happened in that Super last year, this fan base is invigorated and
electric. They're back.
I think it's going to work.
And think about it this way. If Jazz Chisholm is going to do things with Clemson, think about other players or whatever that have brands and stuff. They want to kind of get their foot in the door of some college program because where do the young kids go? They go play college baseball first before they go to pro ball if they're blessed with the opportunity. If Clemson shows, hey, we're the cool kids on the block in college baseball, come play for Clemson. It's only going to get bigger. The brand's only going to get bigger. Savannah Bananas are going to push Clemson content when they start winning. It's just you get a family, you get a little network of just exposure and stuff. So I think Clemson is going to be a really good team this year and the years to come. And it's going to shock some people. I think they're doing a really good job. And I think Clemson has a shot this year.
Well, they absolutely have a shot. They got serious talent. But let's talk Big Ten. New look Big Ten. 4 new teams coming in. Oregon is the favorite at plus 150. I think that might be too big of a separation between number 1 and number 2. I think Oregon's probably the most talented team in the conference. And they went to a Super last year, played well at A&M.
They returned a lot of
Super the year before, lost to the hottest team in the country, Oral Roberts. It feels like the year that Oregon finally makes the College World Series. But I think this might be a hot take.
Wait, Ben, can I ask you one question?
No. The Big
Ten. About Oregon.
No, I'm not done, dude. Let me finish my Big Ten spiel. This conference is going to be deep, man. Every one of these teams got better from last year. They didn't lose a whole lot. They're starting to take baseball seriously in the Big Ten, and they have been for the last few years. But this will be the first year that the Big Ten will be able to compete with the ACC and the SEC and on a postseason caliber. What am I trying to say here? It's not going to be a walk in the park if you have a Big Ten team in your regional or you're playing them in a super regional. They're going to be a lot deeper. and a lot more prepared to compete with the best of the best. Go ahead, Dimitri.
I
Sorry.
was just going to ask you, how many super regionals has Oregon been in without Omaha? Because Kent State was one, Oral Roberts was two. What else?
A&M last year.
Yeah, and College Station.
So that's three. Is that it? Is that it?
Well, they brought baseball back in what, 2012?
Something
Like they didn't have a
that.
baseball team for a
Late.
while.
Yeah, because I remember the Kent State one. I obviously Oral Roberts, Texas A&M. So that's three supers, and they still haven't gotten to Omaha yet.
Yeah, I think they'll get there this year, especially host a super. Well, I can't say that because they've lost to
No,
Kent
what do
State.
you mean? The two
Oral Roberts.
majors walked into their house and took it from them.
Yeah. All right.
So
Well, let's talk Big Ten here. I know that there's 7 or 8 teams that I could see in a regional in this league.
it is so crazy, guys, seeing Iowa, Maryland, and Michigan all 1,500 or worse.
Look, and like even down here, like Rutgers is going to be good. Penn State. I mean,
Someone
two of
told
my
me-
best coaching friends are both now in the Big Ten with Eddie Smith at Washington coming over from Utah Valley, and then our boy Justin Hare.
at Ohio State.
Yeah, and they're doing big things over there right now too. Justin Hare from Campbell, the Campbell Empire. He's now at Ohio State back home. I mean, we're so tight with the Purdue staff. They think their team's going to be good this year too.
Boy Roberts.
Like
Speaking of Purdue, I told what's his name, Hunter Robert. I told him they are banned from my support until they redeem themselves after that 18-0 run they did 2 years ago, and then just fell flat on their face. Because I was like, "Oh, guys, Purdue's pretty good. Purdue's pretty good." They got their shit kicked in Big Ten play, and I was just like, "Bro, you can't keep doing that."
I forgot. It was like 2021 or 2022 that they started 18-0.
Yeah, they started like they were the last undefeated team in the country. First Big Ten team rolls to town. I think it was like Illinois, and it's absolutely smoked them. And it was like, bro, what are we doing?
I don't even know if Hunter was. I don't even know if he was there that year. He might have been at Arkansas.
But
Shot it.
Anyways, so look, Nebraska, like they're a baseball school now. Like they've invested in baseball. They got the pieces to win big games. Like, they got the pieces to win this conference. Like no doubt, number 2 team with Indiana. Like I look at Nebraska and Indiana like on the same level, where you have potential All-Americans in your lineup, big time recruits, get guys out of the transfer portal. Like they're there. And then you look below them, and it's like UCLA, USC. We know how they are. They're two of the most historic programs in college baseball history.
I talked to someone the other day about the UCLA schedule. They've got games in the middle of March, early April in College Park, Maryland, and Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it's just sitting here thinking like they have no idea. Like even in Iowa or Indiana, they have no idea how cold that Midwest is in March and April. Like that place, it is so cold up there. So I don't know how UCLA is going to handle this. Same thing with USC. Oregon, I think they'll be fine. The Pacific Northwest is pretty cold sometimes with no sun. But UCLA and USC are gonna be in for a rude awakening when they've got to play in that weather.
I mean, we'll be a little exaggerated.
What do you mean? You're coming from sunny Los Angeles where it doesn't get below 45, 50 all year. And you've got to go play in 35-degree weather where it feels like 25, cloudy, a little drizzle, and you've got to go up there and square up freaking Nebraska's #1 guy on a Friday night at 7 p.m. It ain't going to be easy for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Playing in the cold does suck. It does suck. Play baseball in the cold. Not fun. I'll give you, look, these 4 teams right here, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, and Michigan, all going to be really good. Like, just flat out, they're going to be good baseball teams. I pretty much play in the pre-conference tournaments or whatever they're called, like the week 1 through week 3 showcase tournaments that are at neutral sites, and we'll learn pretty quickly. But look, Tracy Smith at Michigan, one of the best. Swope over at Maryland, one of the best. They're going to have an elite offense. And then we know about like Iowa and their pitching development. They're going to have guys throwing 95 plus, like one after the other. And
Ohio State should be
in
able to hit a
Illinois,
little bit.
do what?
I said Ohio State will probably start learning how to hit a little bit and be a little more aggressive and more power focused on the mound and hitting with hair at Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's going to have just guys that were overlooked out of high school coming in and just turn into beasts like he did at Campbell.
Ben,
So
this was a question I had for you and Jack. When this was the hair, like made me think about this a lot. When a coach leaves a small school like Campbell and he's got his blueprint, he knows what kind of players he can bring in, morph them into this really good first round type talent, or even an undrafted guy that's a really good college player. When you get to Ohio State, your budget is bigger, your brand is bigger, your ability to get better players is now more prevalent. Do you think, like, does he still stick to his bread and butter, or does he just say, yeah, I'm going to go get the best guys and hope for the best? Or do you think he still sticks with that blue collar chip on their shoulder kind of guy and said, you have opportunity to play at Ohio State, but you can lose this opportunity real quick and use it to his advantage? You know what I mean?
probably a good mix of both. I don't know. Like I'm not a head coach, so I have no idea.
But think about it. If you're recruiting Ohio State on your little college shirt while you're at a perfect game tournament, you can walk up to somebody with no shame and be like, love for you to get you on campus. If you're at Campbell, you're like, hey, it's Justin here, Campbell. We've done great things. You know, I'm not sure if you know what I mean? It's a little different.
I think Campbell has been way more successful in the last 8 years than Ohio State has.
Right. But everyone knows who Ohio State is. Not everybody knows who Campbell is.
Not in the baseball world.
You'd be surprised, dude. You'd be really surprised. You go out to the Midwest and the West Coast, people don't know who Campbell are.
Campbell was like America's team for like 3 years in a row.
Not every high school baseball player is a college baseball fan, is my point.
That's a good point.
Like I have friends that don't know shit about college baseball, but they know the major schools. I mean, it's always be that way. Anyway,
how many more of these do we have? Because all right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got to kind of fly through these, fellas.
Do we do the next episode? Do we do the next episode? Keep people on the edge.
Yeah, let's do the Big 12 and the Big West, and then the CAA, and then we'll leave Conference USA, Golden Spikes, Missouri Valley, SEC, and SunBelt for the next episode. I love that idea.
Yeah, because Golden Spikes will be its own episode, though, I think. Well,
right.
It'll be its own segment.
So Big 12 here. Look, I don't agree with these odds at all. I won't say why because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but let's see if you guys can kind of pinpoint what is sticking out here at the Big 12. There's odds in here where I'm like, how did you get that based off of this team?
There's two teams.
What? So let me, for the podcast listener, sorry. Oklahoma State plus 300, Arizona plus 400, TCU plus 500, Arizona State plus 600. Then it's Texas Tech, West Virginia, UCF, Kansas, Kansas State, Cincinnati, Houston, and Baylor. And then BYU is last. BYU is 50-1, and then like Kansas is 20-1, and it's just kind of mixed match there. But let me hear your guys' thoughts on this because I have some opinions.
Two very undervalued teams, but Jack, you want to go first?
No, say it because I think we're all going to say the same thing.
Houston and Kansas are way undervalued.
I agree with that. There's one more thing that I think is sticking out that needs to be addressed.
I thought that the top of this looks a lot like they just looked at who played in a regional last year and just said, all right, cool, like history will repeat itself. When in reality, West Virginia was maybe a change away on the mound from playing for a World Series, and they return a lot of pieces, and they're sitting in the middle of this going, just because we only did it just once last year doesn't mean we're going anywhere. I thought that was a little bit of a miscue, and I think you can get a ton of value for the Mounties at 800, hypothetically, of course. But I think that was the one thing that really stood out to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to put it this way. Like, I think that the difference between the top with Oklahoma State, which I think I agree with. Like, I think I agree with Oklahoma State and like Arizona and TCU all kind of be in that upper tier just because they've done it in the past and like they just reload every year. But to me, the difference between Oklahoma State and down to Houston, Baylor, and even Cincinnati and Kansas State, like it's not that big of a difference. We see every year, excuse me, how competitive the Big 12 is, and like nobody runs away with it. And like it seems like every week there's a new first place team in the standings. The difference between plus 300 and plus 4,000
It's crazy.
is it's kind of crazy, dude. But again, maybe these guys know more like setting these lines than I do. But I kind of agree with you, Jack. It's almost like they were lazy with it. Just looking at who was in a regional last year and like who played well last year. I mean, even Texas Tech, they've had a couple bad years, but like they're going to be good this year.
Always are.
I believe in Texas Tech this year too.
Do you think the Big 12 is deeper than the ACC? Just looking at this.
No, no, probably not.
Okay. I mean, Boston College, Baylor, Pittsburgh, Houston. Like that's basically what we're coming down to.
And look
The,
at
the
look at
ACC
college.
has more. The ACC has more elite teams.
Correct. I agree with that. But I'm just saying overall, the bottom tier teams in the Big 12 are not that bad.
Dude, they're not bad at all. Like BYU is not bad at all.
No, BYU is not bad at all.
I'll say this about BYU from an NIL standpoint. Don't think it's an accident that the collegiate athletics world is watching BYU win over the number one basketball player in the country and find themselves in the top 10 in hoops. And then also, I mean, they lose the Big 12 championship game and they kind of blow it in the last 2 weeks of the season, or they're in the college football playoff. Don't think it's an accident that every single sport across the board is getting better. They are far better than where they are on those rankings.
Yeah, 50-1 is crazy for BYU. Like they develop players better than most. Like I don't know. Like the Big 12 to me was just it's anybody's game. Like it wouldn't surprise me if Kansas and what they've done with like JUCO route and retaining a lot of their guys from last year and building off what they did last year, if they go out and win the Big 12 regular season. And it's a conference where you don't have to win the regular season to get an at-large berth or even host a regional. You can finish fourth in conference and host a regional if your RPI is good. Look, this one, we'll put a pin in this one because we'll circle back at the end of the year and see like who ends up winning this. It's just the numbers, I think, are a little skewed to last year.
Math ain't
And
math.
then, all right, let's do these last two. Big West. This is always fun. So the Big West, obviously everybody who's been a part of the 11.7 family for the last 6 seasons, excuse me, they know how much we love watching the Big West and following the Big West, just a baseball conference. And this is the first year that they're having a conference tournament. So big news, breaking news. I want to go to the tournament too. Like I want to make a trip out west to the Big West tournament just to experience it. This one, look, the odds are the odds. Like I kind of agree with everything here, except like I might bump up UC San Diego and Northridge and Long Beach State, but I guess you kind of have to set their odds that low at 10-1 and 15-1. But Santa Barbara and UC Irvine, and then like I mean,
It's the
Santa
year.
Barbara and UC Irvine run this conference, and they're at plus 175 and plus 285. That makes sense. Cal Poly probably going to be sneaky good this year, and then we know how good
Sleeper
Hawaii
team.
was last year, plus
The year.
700.
Sleeper
Do what?
team.
Ben, it's the year. We're getting a regional in Hawaii. I can feel it in my loins.
Dude,
I can feel
hope
it.
so.
I can feel it in my loins. You win a conference tournament, an RPI at around 25 or 30. Let's get the Bows a regional host, please.
I think
God.
I think
Bunch of
Hawaii.
private schools there so they can afford the flights and crap. Let's get a regional at the freaking Bows.
I think Hawaii is the biggest benefactor of having a conference tournament because we all know how it goes. Your regular season winners, your 2 seeds, yeah, they win a lot of conference tournaments, but hey, it's those teams that just struggle to put together 30 really good games over the whole course of a conference regular season. But Hawaii is good enough. The last 3 years, they have been good enough to win 4 games in a row in May. They have been good enough. They just can't keep it going for 30 games. It's hard when you're traveling from the island to the West Coast back to the island. It's just difficult to get in a rhythm when it's just hard to get in a rhythm. But I think Hawaii is a team that can finally get their way in with the conference tournament championship.
Xavier,
right. Look, and here's another. I mean, obviously, I think Riverside and Bakersfield, they both got new coaches this year, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I know Bakersfield did. Friend of mine got the head job there, but they're rebuilding. Like, probably won't win the conference regular season just on paper, but even like the conference tournament, I don't know sure of the Big West tournament yet. I think it might be the top 8 teams, but like you sneak into the top 8, like you win 4 ball games and you're going to a regional. So, and like these aren't slouch teams, right? Like Fullerton comes to town at Starkville a couple years ago, or whoever it was. It might not have been Fullerton, but these teams are competitive on a weekend basis. They pitch, play defense, and like now they're starting to get some bats. So I don't know. Like I hope this is a multi-bid league. I hope one of these teams hosts, preferably Hawaii. But I just love this conference. It's the best.
Can we also say one more thing? Congratulations, UC San Diego. You are officially postseason eligible.
Oh, yeah, facts.
Good luck. They're postseason eligible, and so is Tarleton State out of the WAC. We remember Tarleton State won the WAC conference tournament last year, and that's what propelled Grand Canyon into a regional. That's cool. Like the D2 to D1 transition period just doesn't make sense to me.
Bakersfield and Long Beach State are the only 2 schools with new head coaches this year.
Okay.
But
yeah, Bakersfield is coming from Oakland University. So
yes, Jordan Banfield at Bakersfield, and then Long Beach got TJ Bruce, and he was at Oakland, but he was at ECU before that.
TJ Bruce is the man. He's the best. All right, CAA, another just top-heavy conference, but just fun to keep up with. We know the drama from last year.
Got Big West Championship, Big West Conference Tournament at Fullerton.
Oh, dude, sign me up.
Right outside Los Angeles. You go south, and you're right out Fullerton.
Sign me up. I'm gonna go. Like I have to go to the first ever Big West tournament.
I'm trying to figure out the format.
But here we go. So CAA, Charleston plus 150, UNC Wilmington plus 250, Northeastern plus 350, Campbell plus 1,000, Ware plus 1,500, Elon plus 2,000, and then you have Hofstra, William & Mary, Stony Brook, Monmouth, NCA&T, who they just released renderings of a new stadium that they're building. It's awesome. So congrats to them. And then Towson 40-1. Top heavy league. I still think there's some value here on the board when you look at teams like Elon and Campbell. Even like Delaware was super competitive last year. William & Mary, not terrible, like going to be good, competitive. But I just don't see any way like Charleston and UNC Wilmington will be battling it out for the crown. Like both of those teams returned a bunch. Charleston's playing with a chip on their shoulder. Like they got screwed last year by the NCAA selection committee. And I know Jack can probably attest to this. Like they are preparing every single day for war. Like they want to make a statement this year. They've never been more focused. So I would say it's probably a 2-team race with a couple wild cards to throw in there.
Yeah, I think Charleston and Wilmington are your 2 favorites by a long shot. I don't see Campbell first year without Justin Hare. That's a big culture shock. Things change. It takes time. Northeastern, I think they lost a lot. They're always been good, but I think they lost a lot. And then, yeah, I mean, Hofstra, William & Mary, Stony. I mean, Stony Brook could be a good long shot. I don't know much about them yet. I haven't researched them, but yeah, Charleston and Wilmington don't get cute with this conference.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't sleep on Northeastern. Mike Lavin, like, I think he probably wants us to sleep on him. But they, to your point, they lost so much great senior leadership from just their last 2 great season runs. But Cam Maldonado is a guy that I bragged on a ton last year. Obviously interviewed him, so I was super biased, but like didn't have the greatest start to his sophomore year, and then like just sneakily still finished hitting like 300 and went and dominated the Cape. And you're like, oh, okay, cool, like it's cool. Like I wish my struggling was still hitting 300. That'd be dope. And then they return a lot on the mound, but they do lose a lot offensively. But I would never count out Mike Glavin's group. I think Campbell's probably the biggest question mark here in the post Justin Hare era. What does that program look like? That's been so traditioned over the last decade and a half. But yeah, Elon's so well coached. Delaware, they feel like they always win a big game in the tournament. You were like, why do we sleep on Delaware? Like, what the hell?
Greg Maumelle, man, he's a good coach, and Delaware has the coolest hats in the country. I love the old English D, blue and yellow, clean. It looks so good.
Hey, guys, I think we're gonna find out this year if we were big Campbell fans or we were big Justin Hare fans. Because are we gonna still be on that Campbell train like we've been the last couple of years, or are we gonna be kind of like more of a time to play that damn music in Columbus, Ohio? Because if Ohio State starts winning this year, I promise you guys, you will be seeing a lot of Ohio State on our Twitter feed. We will talk about Ohio State if they start winning, because Justin Hare, I'm telling you, he was Campbell baseball.
I say see all of the above. No, I don't know.
Oh yeah, he was. Come on now.
I disagree. I mean, look at some of the guys that they produce. Like, I mean, Justin Hare's an incredible coach, but like they hired within for a reason. Like I know Adam Wise is my boy. He was a coach of mine a long time ago. Dimitri, we actually met him at the ABCA. I think like when you look at some of the guys that they produce at the professional ranks too, I think it speaks volumes. I just think last year, like it's a culture shock playing in a different conference, even though they were super talented. It's just a culture shock. There's a reason they hired within. I think they're going to be great. They still got all.
They did lose. They lost. Not it's unfair to them, but the one year that they transitioned, they lost a lot from that 2023 team. So it's like, yeah, it was a culture shock. But Campbell just was not as good as they were in 2022 and 2023 as they were in 2024. So I don't think that's the issue. I just think Justin Hare. It's the single reason. They should put a sign of saying the house that Justin Hare built. Campbell is not even close to where they are without that guy.
So if they win 40 games this year, can it be both true that he created a?
Yeah, I was gonna say that they can both be true.
Yeah, he's the man, but also
it's still the house that Hare built.
Okay, yeah,
I'm not saying Campbell's not going to be good. I didn't say anything about Campbell not being good. I just said nothing about that.
Well, you said that they're nothing without him.
Yeah.
I said they are nothing without them because Justin Hare is Justin Hare. That doesn't mean I'm talking nothing in terms of that camaraderie or that vibe of Campbell baseball. A bunch of meatheads that just try to throw as hard as they can and swing as hard as they can. That's what they were.
I like that. But yeah, I'll cap this thing off though. They're coming. I'm not going to talk lines. I recuse myself from that conversation, obviously with my occupation, but then also just because I know both of these programs well. But we've talked a lot about building new stadiums, and UNC Wilmington and Randy Hood have built a monster, and they just got their stadium done. The turf looks incredible. One of my best friends in the world, Kent Brown, who is an alumni there, like they're as proud as ever, and they're all giving back, and they're all going back. And to get a guy like Tanner Thatch, who could have gone anywhere in the country he wanted to, who is skyrocketing up draft boards, who is a mid-major guy that is right there in the thick of it for the Golden Spikes Award, there is a reason he is back on campus. That tells you everything you need to know about that staff and what they're building and who they think they can be. ECU, Coastal, they don't care. They think they can be just right there in the conversation with them. But the Cougs are angry, and again, and I think that the coolest part about that conference was, obviously Wilmington beats the CFC in the tournament, and nobody was happier for them, and no one was rooting harder for them when they went down to that UGA regional than the boys in Charleston. They were proud to see their CA. There was like true pride in conference alignment. It's a big rivalry, but it's all love. So it's not hatred towards each other. It's more so internally, like almost a disrespect to who they are, who their conference is. They return a guy on the mound, Jake Brink. I'm telling you right now, if you want a name, Jake Brink on Friday nights for the College of Charleston. Ben and I saw him together 2 years ago where he was just a young freshman lad from the Northeast coming down from New York. I'm telling you right now, this kid was 89-91 when he got on campus. Then he's 91-93 his sophomore year, and he works into a weekend job. And then his junior year, he's the Friday night guy, and he's got a big league ready changeup yesterday, and he's going to throw 94-95. And Will Dorton, their assistant coach and pitching guy, is like got that staff where if they score 2 runs a game, that might be all they need this year. Not only is it a recipe to win this conference, but just telling you. They can win a regional with the arms they have, without question.
I think so too.
Yeah, I said the same.
I think there's
about Wilmington too last year.
I think Wilmington and Charleston can both win regionals
100%
this year. With what they're bringing back, both of them are in the conversation of potentially hosting a regional and winning a regional. I'm high on both of those teams tremendously.
100%.
I just did a quick little teaser because I forgot I was sharing my screen, but they have like 70 people on the Golden Spikes watch list. Not watch list, but odds for them. And like, that's so cool to me.
Are we coming back?
They never had this stuff 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Ben, you want to hear something cool? Because I already did my homework on it, and because I thought it was going to be an episode like down the line. 18 of which mid-major guys.
I love it. Well, and like even more of like, there's more than 18 that started at a mid-major. Like there was quite a few on there that like went up to the SEC or the ACC.
Yeah.
It's cool. So you have like, I mean, there was like 75 options to pick a player to win the Golden Spikes. That was never around, like even 2 or 3 years ago. Preseason. That's cool. Anyways, I see Dimitri yawning there. Even though he's Pacific time, he's 3 hours behind me and Jack.
I know.
What are you yawning for?
It's time for Daddy to eat. Time to eat some dinner.
I love it.
Great. All right. Well, that we'll wrap up the show there. Next week we're going to do mid-major top 25. We'll also look at the odds for the other 6 or 7 conferences we didn't do. We got a lot of fun stuff planned upcoming weeks. But again, just a nice little spring training episode. We appreciate everybody there. Subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and all that. I don't know what it does, but every other podcast out there says it, so we'll say it too. Yeah, we'll be back later, probably sometime next week. We'll
Peace out, guys.
So,
Yeah, shout out to the Gamecock Nation for letting me stay at their house to do this podcast. Jared, Ben, and Parker Coin, much love.